Welcome to Call That Girl's Office 365 show. Keep up with Lisa's day-to-day problems and solutions she encounters with Outlook, third-party apps, and Office 365. The learning never ends, folks. Learn from Lisa.
Welcome to Call That Girl's Office 365 show. I'm Lisa Hendrickson, your hostess, and this is show number 15. Before we get going into my all-killer, no-filler stories of the week, I'll introduce our guest this week, Paco LeBron from ProdigyTeks from Chicago. Welcome, Paco.
Hey, Lisa.
Hey. Paco's been working with Office 365, and he's just kind of getting his feet wet, so we have a lot of fun stories to talk about this week. But, Paco, usually I start my shows with little, stories from the week and things I've done and jobs and the horror stories and whatnot. You want to start out with any? You got any to start that are fresh in your memory?
You know what? As of recently, everything's been kind of smooth. We haven't had any real big horror stories. No, actually, not. It was a remote horror story. But as far as Office 365, I don't recall anything. All of our jobs lately have been pretty smooth.
Yeah, it's actually been kind of slow for the past couple weeks, and I hate it when it's slow. But then I was doing Outlook work, which I don't call those always the horror stories. Sometimes they're just regular jobs, This week for sure, I closed up two that I talked about in my last show. One was I had a Gmail issue with Outlook and IMAP, and the bane of my existence is Gmail. But anyway, I had that. It's seriously, I had a 43 gig PST, corrupted PST. Luckily, though, he didn't lose any of her folders. All the folders were there, which is a miracle.
Okay.
We couldn't get Outlook to work right, and I said, you know what? With the Gmail in the infrastructure or the folder directory rather, you get the important mail, all mail, brings down Gmail little file structure.
Yep.
And I finally just said, look, all that will go away if we move you to Exchange. So we moved her to Exchange, and she had, I think, 15 to 20 folders that needed to be moved to the server. And so for text listening, if you do it by hand and not use a migration whiz or something, all those folders will move into Outlook pretty quickly, but getting them up to the server, 10 gigs can take a while. I think I've said this before. It can take a day. Depends on how slow their internet is. It might take 2 days. One guy took 3 days. We finally got hers up, and then she was like, well, we forgot about these other folders. And I looked at him like, 13 more gigs?
Wow.
I was like, let's do that next weekend. Really, because you want to work, and so I was like, it's going to hold you up for a while. So anyway, I'm happy that job is closed up and it's going to, be done with. And then I had that, I don't know if you've been following online, but I've had this 50 gig PST corruption that I've been kind of chomping down. This is the problem, and then I'll say the solution. Okay, the problem is that he had let his PST, I think it was a PST file, not an IMAP either, get so big that it eventually just blew up.
Oh wow.
I mean, it blew up, and the scan PST repair wouldn't fix it. Well, it would, but it didn't have any of the folders, so that's why I said it blew up. And the poor guy had just tons of folders, so all the mail was in the all mail, the sent, and the deleted, and the important. So luckily, I tried to do the repairs. I tried Stellar PST recovery. I ran another tool. And finally, in the end, I told the look, here's what we have to do is just go and get your mail and make a search folder and move those back to an old archived folder. He had all of his folders. He was satisfied with that, and that job took over 2 weeks to do.
Wow.
No kidding. So we closed it off, and his IT guy is like, you can have this job. So we're setting up a retainer where I, remote in every, month or so, and make sure his stuff's backed up. That would have been nice, to have it backed up.
Right.
But it wasn't. So yeah, finished that job up, and then let's see, what else do I got here? Let's see. Yeah, those were kind of like the two big ones I did. Otherwise, just my jobs were just regular ones this last 2 weeks or so. I ended up having to move real quick. So for everybody that thinks I'm living in the Florida Keys, that's done with. my Florida Keys ended last Wednesday. I had my friends down at All Keys Computers pick me up because I'm scared of the bridges. Paco. Scared of the bridges, so they drove me up here, and now I'm in mainland, and I'm not sure where I'm going to live, so I'm staying at this hotel. And this hotel has 1 meg down or less.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Well, I can still remote in to people's computers just fine. No slowdown. But like watching any video on YouTube, I have to get on my own hotspot where I have 8 meg down.
Gotcha.
If we were on the pipe of the hotel right now, this would be horrible. So I don't think it'd even really be happening. But
I gotcha.
yeah, but otherwise, I'm not really sad it was slow the last 2 weeks because last Friday I had a bunch of sales come up for this week. Christmas week. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, one should end up being about, I don't know, a couple thousand and a few other lots of small stuff. So I was like, sweet, I'm glad it was slow.
Hey, Merry Christmas early to you.
Yeah. Do you have a busy week coming up between holidays?
They're more on-sites that are not specifically for remote. So like one is more of a how to set up like, some security cameras and how they can use it on their own machine and, getting them on backup to back up those files and, that sort of deal. Cool. Another one is I got to re-network a law firm that I've been working with lately since June. They got new furniture, and the guys who moved the furniture decided to unplug everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Like everything from the actual devices themselves off, along with what was plugged into the wall. So it's going to be interesting on recreating what I've set up. At least I have everything. Hopefully all the settings should be remaining the same. I just need to replug everything back to where they should be, and hopefully it should be good to go. But we'll see what that happens on Tuesday for that. But
I don't see the computers redoing themselves too. But hey,
you never know.
Anything can happen. Yeah, that's your server map.
Right, exactly. So good thing I have all that sorted out. So hopefully it should be a quick hour and a half to 2 hours. So.
Did you tell the guys you shouldn't do that to people?
Well, what I did was he let me know that he was getting new furniture. I didn't realize that they were going to be rearranging the office as well. So I told the I told the lawyer, because this is so in practice, I let him know saying, hey, look, when something like this happens, you have to let me know so I can be here on site for you to prevent these type of things, because he couldn't access any of his documents, and he had, this is the one that I told you that had the issue with the 255 characters for the OneDrive, went on one of our discussions before, and so he didn't have a lot of his files online to get to remote. So he was kind of dead in the water. So the moment that he realized he couldn't connect, he kind of freaked out and called me, and it was a rush job. God. So, I love rush jobs, because you just have that rush fee that, hey, you want to be on top of the list, my friend, I can definitely help you out. Unfortunately, I got to do some finagling here, but we'll be able to help you out. So I
still can't do the rush fee.
No?
I don't know. I tried it once, and actually I had a weekend rate, though. My Outlook emergency is $193 an hour.
Okay.
That's kind of a rush thing because it stops me from doing my fun on the weekends, but
right.
I've only billed one person that so far. I wish more would come in sometime.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's rare, but like for him, it was one of those where I guess he had some trial that was coming up in the next couple of weeks, and he needed to get all those filed and prepared, or I'm sure it would have been big implications on that. So
no kidding.
Which allowed us. Yeah, so which allowed us to kind of sweep in there and say, hey, look, if you would have had FileLocker and MagnusBox, because I'm a reseller of MagnusBox and FileLocker, those are my backup and file syncing solutions, this wouldn't have been an issue. So he, because of that situation, I was able to upsell him. Yeah. Got that all good up, so.
Nice. I love the word upsell. Just has a good ring.
I do.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy I have on Monday, he emailed me in the beginning of November and said, look, I have 2 businesses. I need everything. And so we had a meeting. He actually paid me for the consulting hour,
Oh,
which I
okay.
learned I think I need to implement more of for next year because this past 2 weeks, outside of it being slow, I had a couple people call and kind of take advantage of getting a bunch of free information out of me, and then they never hired me.
I got you.
Have you ever had
Yeah.
that happen?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I've had that happen, but actually that law firm was the one that actually got me into, hey, I want you to charge me for this consultation. And I was like, well, what do you mean? Well, your information is not free. I can't get, like, if I were to decide to go to someone else, you just basically
Yeah.
helped me get where I had to go. Now I know where to go. I was like, huh, that's interesting. And then, and I forgot what podcast I was listening to. I want to say it was Tech Vets or the Mike Smith show, but it was Mike Smith basically saying he had the same scenario. He spent like X amount and like an hour and a half or something like that, didn't do a consultation fee, didn't have anything signed up. And the guys went somewhere else. So, he felt robbed that, all
Yeah.
that time was gone. So kind of listening to them, I haven't structured it or put it in process yet, but it's something like you mentioned.
Yeah.
It's something we're going to look into in the next year as well.
Well, I think you should look into it in the next 2 weeks, Paco, because this is something that's really serious for our industry, is that we have a lot of software knowledge, and that's basically, for me, that's all I sell, right?
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying you have to do this, but I'm saying if you're going to consider it, it's something where it's going to make you money right away out of the gate. And that's what I'm doing is, well, actually, I won a client the other day. I could tell he was an IT knowledgeable person. Like, he just seemed to know the terms,
Okay.
And after he started asking me how to fix stuff, I said, well, here's where we stop that free advice and move into a consulting. He goes, yep, sounds good. Well, then he kept asking me questions. It was 7 minutes. And basically I told him, look, here's the deal. You can hire me. It's either going to be a 1 to 4 hour job. They wanted to have 6 people share a mailbox in exchange, which is pretty simple.
Okay.
But they had some difficulties. And I just did a 15-person project like that. So I was like, yeah, I can do it. And since I already learned from the other client, it'd be easy. And after I hung up the phone, I started crying. I did. I was like, I gave the guy too much info.
Gotcha.
In 7 minutes. Well, you know what? He ended up calling back late at night and hired me.
Okay.
So, but I did tell him flat out, like, look, I can only give you so much free advice. I'm not going to tell people products anymore, like, except for Office 365. I just think that when they start asking, like, so what company do you go with? I want to tell them who my vendor is, but I don't until,
Till you get hired.
because they're going to go to my vendor behind my back.
Yep. And I've had
And
that.
I just, what?
No, I was gonna say that I've had that same thing where I've gotten off a call and I sit there and I said, man, I probably talked myself
Yeah.
out of that sale, like because I just probably gave them all the keys of what they needed.
Yep.
Yeah.
And isn't that funny? We both know that because we're both in that world where we're like, I just wrote them a business plan in an hour and I gave that all away for free.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's going to be really a strong thing for me because I know my Outlook break fix stuff can be super fast. And I tell people, yes, I can fix it, and they don't care. Some more projected things where I'm like, okay, I'm going to build you a plan. You're going to use my vendor. You're going to use a software I choose. When they start asking the questions, I'll be like, well, that's when we move to a paid consulting, or something like that, because you can't really go by time. Some people say, well, after 15 minutes, it should be billable. Well, a lot of my clients will talk for 15 minutes solid.
Right. Exactly. And that's the same.
And then what?
Yep. No, and it's funny you say that because I forgot who said that, but and I was operating the same way. Like, okay, it might have been actually you that I might have heard that after 15 minutes or whoever I might have heard it from. It was like after 15 minutes, it's billable. But there have been times where, like you said, you get 7-8 minutes and they already got so much information out of 7-8 minutes. Okay, thank you, bye. And as you're thinking there, you're like, oh shoot, I could have really just turned it around.
Well, I've talked about this before with my last show with Matt Rainey. His answers, yes or no, that then it's billable, and it's a really good theory. Should I click on this pop-up? what am I going to say? Yes to a client? I should say no. Then it's a billable call, because what if it's a virus or, some other, junkware?
Right.
When people are like, Lisa, would you recommend I buy this Dell? Okay, yes, that's a free answer, or whatever.
Right.
But I like his theory, yes or no, I'll create a ticket. And then second of all is I got to figure out in the next, maybe next couple shows, I'll talk about it more, is I need to bill for my consulting, and no matter what. I'm just getting depressed almost about it. And it's kind of sad because I'm like going, a technical client will take that info and go do their own stuff.
Yep.
Anybody can be Dr. Google.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's not hard.
Yeah, once we give them the right question to ask, then they basically can do what they want. So.
Yeah, they kind of go, we'll save a couple $1,000s and do it ourselves. All right, whatever. But so that's on my game plan for next year, is to learn how to bill more consulting work. And you know what? Then they can take that and go with what they want.
Okay.
All right, Paco. Well, let's roll into the real show here. Why don't you go ahead and start and tell us a little bit about your business there, what's current, how you guys got started, all the stuff techs love to hear.
Sure. So again, my name is Paco LeBron. I run ProdigyTeks computer repair out in Chicago, Illinois. Currently, right now, we have 3 locations, one in the Chicagoland area, one in Evanston, which is a Chicagoland suburb, and Schaumburg. We're opening up our second Chicago location in a couple weeks in the middle of January. So what we've done is basically, to kind of get into the whole deal, is we started officially back in February of 2013. I was helping a buddy out with his business. He had a hybrid of a print design and computer repair. We didn't kind of agree on how that business was kind of going in the direction, so I kind of just jumped off, started my own deal, and got my own domain name in 2011, and little by little I made it official February 2013, and we opened up our first office in July of that same year. But a lot of the stuff that we've done, like every other technician starts off with, is on-site and hardware repairs coming in, virus removals, things of that nature. Then I was looking for work orders and found the Tech Nibble community. And from Tech Nibble, I ended up finding Lisa Hendrickson's report support book. And we always wanted to get into remote support because we could do it, but we never had anything formalized or a process built out. And when we saw Lisa's book, we were saying, hey, this is a home run. How much is it?
The guide.
I was like, right, this is a deal. So we bought the book right there. And as we decided to start learning, adapting a lot of the stuff that was in there, because of Lisa's book, is what gave us the courage to go and move forward with remote support. And as the book evolved, and I think we bought the 2nd edition, the 3rd edition then came out. Then you started adding addendums to it, and one of the amazing addendums was how to do a hosted Office 365 Exchange migration step by step. And it's always one of those where, for a residential because I always still consider myself as a residential tech. I don't consider myself as a business tech, although I do business work, because I have not gained the comfort or broken that glass ceiling to say, all right, I can do cabling now, I can do this, I can do that. These are all still learning features and processes for us, and Exchange was one of them. I never knew how to do anything with Exchange before. It was one of those where it was like kind of like a black box to me. By running through Lisa's addendum, it was a easy step by step, exactly how like I said, it's all killer, no filler. What you need to know is what's there. And I can honestly say, because of that addendum and her book, allowed us to expand in there. And now, I mean, probably a good third of our revenue is Office 365 work.
That's so nice to hear.
Particularly hosted Exchange, and that's a big thanks to you. Our business would not have prospered in that area unless we had read your read your book and those addendums.
Wow.
So, and again, and I want to make sure I notate that, she is not having me say, push the book or get the book. I do agree. I want to say that if you do have the chance, purchase the book. And we also just purchased her recent SEO WordPress tip. If you have a WordPress site, this is definitely something you want to get. I just overlooked at the list myself, and I'm ready to start getting into that because I actually hired a marketing agency who developed our WordPress site, and her checklist is really going to help out along with some of the stuff that they provided us as well. So definitely want to highlight that. But like I said, I want to, I obviously thank you, and you've been a big part and help to our business as far as that portion.
I didn't even know all that stuff. Well, the neat thing is that we're in a nice tech community of people, and it's kind of funny how we all kind of find, a way into the community, and then it just starts expanding, I found you by listening to you on one of Jeff Hallish's Podnut shows.
Yep. Yeah. So
but you know what, though? I probably emailed with you before or something, but I just, to me, it's just everybody kind of blends until I get to know the person,
I agree.
Like the techs that buy the books and stuff with questions. And in fact, the guy down in Marathon where I was staying down there, he bought my book.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was cool. I was like, oh my God. I didn't even...
That's awesome.
Bad, but it is a good guide, and just as a little, push here is that, if anybody's interested, I do sell the books in a 5-pack bundle now for $49. They're on special right for holiday for $39, and after that, prices go back up in January. What I used to do was I had updates. So Paco, you got some of those updates for free.
Yep.
But as of right now, I will only put out remote support updates on the Remote Rockstars website, and I'm really not focusing on remote support anymore because of the Office 365. So there's going to be no more books for remote support. The third one was like the finale. And if you buy the bundle, you get version 2 and 3 anyway, and 2 is a little more on the old, well, it's kind of outdated maybe for the technical virus work and stuff. It's all changed, but still has some good nuggets in there.
Yeah, I agree. The procedures can still stand, at least kind of understanding at the beginning. It's like listening to a lot of the Podnuts episodes as well. Some of them are outdated for older operating systems, but a lot of those tools and a lot of those procedures help out in current situations now as well.
Yeah, so why don't you tell us about your first Office 365 job you did, because that's, I've already told the story, but I think it's interesting to hear, well, you bought you said you got the book. So did you get the book first, or did you get a job first?
No, so what we did was we got the book first because I'm the type of person where I know, like, you have a metaphor where, we can do it, and then you learn it to make sure that you don't eat crow later on. I hate doing that because I always tend to eat crow. So what I do is, so I like to prepare myself, and that's just how I am. I like to prepare myself. So I bought your book, integrated a lot of the stuff and the steps that were in the book so I could prepare myself to say, hey, yes, we can do this. So exactly what happened. Law firm came, called us on our number. New practice. They want to be able to hook up Exchange to their proprietary law firm software, but their email was on their domain server, whoever they were using. I forgot what the company was. It wasn't a common one like GoDaddy. I forgot who it was. But so what we did was we basically let them know, all right, we're going to have, how many users, and we ran them through the whole step, how many users, what products you're going to need, do you find yourself you're going to use any Word products, et cetera, et cetera. But so what we did was once we mapped out everything, we basically got everything. We installed our unattended access to our remote software that we use, and I think it took a matter of mid-afternoon to a night to complete. I think it was 3 users that he had. So we had 3 boxes that we completed. He didn't have that much. All we did was basically exported out his tasks, PSTs, and so forth. Everything merged out, put that all in there, and he was good to go in the morning. And there was a couple snags that we ran into. He was using a 2007 version of Office. We were gonna so we were gonna upgrade him to 2013, but we wanted to make sure that his email box was working first before we moved on to any new software because of the drastic change from '07 to 2013, we wanted to make sure we kind of gave them the hand by hand of how to kind of use some of the features. So when that happened, we upgraded all the machines to 2013. It's been working like a beaut. And then the next day we did the migration for his proprietary software because they had their own hosted exchange through another company. So we just threw it down to his '07 that we opened up a new account, grabbed it, copied over to '07 or 2013, and I think now this is back in June, so probably for the last 6 months has had nothing but problems. And like I said, I just got that call from him probably about a couple weeks ago to schedule for today, to schedule for Tuesday to complete the rewiring of the office as well. So.
Oh yeah. Well, at least you know Exchange is safe.
Oh yeah. That was one of those where he says, "Oh my God, my emails are gone." No. Log into here in the portal. You'll be good to go. And it was one of those where he was very happy, and he had his iPhone and everything was synced up, and he just.
Oh yeah. I've had zero. Well, okay. I was gonna say I was zero client return on Exchange, but I did have one guy that after we got it all done, he had an iPhone panic that because Exchange just synchronizes so well that he liked it where everything stayed on his phone, or if he deleted off his phone, he wanted to stay in the Exchange, and we talked it over, and he was in such a panic.
Yeah.
I told him that we could figure it out, and he was like, "Just put me back on POP." And we'd spent hours, and he panicked. He wouldn't listen, and I told him that I'm probably saying this wrong. What?
I think there is a way to be able to just keep it where you don't delete it off the server, if I'm not mistaken. But
yeah, but you know what though? He was in the iPhone panic.
I gotcha.
And I was trying to explain to him I could fix it, and he was just almost like I could feel his heartbeat through the phone. Like he was just out of breath. I mean, I was like, "Okay, man, I'm just gonna put you back on." He goes, "Lisa, I'm just gonna call GoDaddy and do it myself, so we're done." And I billed him $400 some bucks because we had done a lot of. He had a Mac, and I had to do these OLM to PST conversions.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of pre-work.
Right.
So his actual Exchange work, I didn't even bill him my project rate because poor guy, he has a lot of problems. Then finally I was like, okay, and he didn't even ask for a refund, nothing. He was just like,
really?
No. But I did fix his other problems though,
I gotcha.
Yeah, he had 10 PST files from a PC that needed to go to the Mac, and they just weren't playing nice. So I did this converter tool, and then I brought them over to my PC and fixed them all. We put them over through Dropbox.
Okay.
Dropbox is just a winner with this stuff, so he put it all in Dropbox. I fixed all the PSTs on my side, put them back in. So, I mean, he wasn't dissatisfied with all that work,
I gotcha.
I tell you, you got to work fast sometimes, too, when you're doing this stuff because the Macs are just as jolly.
Yeah. And it's a big piece that you're saying, like, unfortunately, there's not a lot of great information out there because everything is so confusing, especially on Microsoft's website. The way that they rebrand their own stuff, and like you mentioned, they changed the name of their products a couple times. Like, that's why it's great to go through a vendor. Yeah, it's a little bit more, but it avoids the headaches and so forth.
Yeah. Well, I think I put it out there a while ago that I was going to do a series of Office 365 learning videos, and since I started the modules, they've changed twice.
Oh.
And now because of SharePoint and OneDrive, which that's coming up on our questions here, I'll talk about that when we get to that point. But there's just no way anybody, even Microsoft, can keep up with the training.
Right.
That's why it's kind of just like you have to dive in and do it case by case with what people need, and at least get to know the products so you're familiar enough to take the jobs.
Right, exactly.
Like you did. Like you knew when you got the book that you're like, we can do this. This is in our knowledge range, and it's not... it's not for everybody, but, if you're, interested in it, it's a good way to make new money next year and moving ahead because it's not going away.
Right. It's only going to get bigger.
It's only going to get bigger. Let me grab my next one. So basically, you started learning it just by doing it. You read my book, which I don't want people to think I'm pushing my book here, but the book just has a nice step-by-step instruction for Exchange.
It does.
Now, outside of Exchange, though, that's just one of the products of Office 365. So Now we're going to move into the next few dangerous layers. The danger zone, Paco.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I just am like starting to, I think I'm actually going to cut the cord on SharePoint.
Good, because I did as well.
Yes. SharePoint is, when I talk about the products, to me it's always Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, Link, Yammer, which none of my people would use, and then Office 2013. Now the reason why I put Office 2013 at the end is because most of my clients have 2010 or they already bought 2013. So I don't make any money off that because I don't resell Office.
Gotcha.
So that's part of my interview, but only a couple times have I been shocked to take a job and had 2003 still. And then those people knew they were ready for an upgrade because you can't do Exchange.
Did you say 2003?
Oh yes.
Oh
yes.
Wow.
I've been thoroughly impressed with one time I wrote in and go, oh wow, well guess what? We all have to upgrade, and that was on Windows 7 too. So it was like,
Really?
it was, they were, yeah, I'm pretty sure because I know I had to have them upgrade.
Gotcha.
And yep, I'm pretty sure. Well, anyway, before I lose track, because I was going to talk about Vista too and all the products, but we'll go back to SharePoint. So, the second product that I used to sell a lot of is SharePoint, and the reason why I loved it is because back in the day you could just map a drive to SharePoint and people could see it as a map drive.
Right.
Well, it constantly breaks.
Yes.
Constantly breaks. So people, I've had to train them how to fix it themselves. 9 times out of 10 they'll call me and I'll just remote in and fix it in 30 seconds. Not even a big deal. But those people are getting tired of that. So then I found this new way to install SharePoint, which made it in the favorites list of File Explorer, right?
Yep.
Awesome. That was fine for like a month. And then all of a sudden I went to go install it the other day for a client and they made me install OneDrive.
Yep.
And that first, and then the SharePoint wouldn't work. And I was pulling my hair out after 2 hours going, I think I'm done with this because I'm really annoyed and it ain't worth my time. I can't build a client for me not knowing how to set this up, which really I am going to, but the point is that it just doesn't work. OneDrive is it's kidnapping the whole SharePoint.
Yes.
And Microsoft didn't put out a release saying, hey, by the way, we hate SharePoint. We want you to use OneDrive, which is just like Dropbox.
Yep. And yeah, exactly. And kind of what you keyed off of, one of my the danger zone and on my situation, same law firm has a ton of documents, not as much as in size, but in as far as hierarchy. And basically he has, descriptive names in folders, then he has his subfolders descriptive names, then he has descriptive names on file names, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the way that the SharePoint OneDrive conglomerate has set up, where his SharePoint URL was already 77 characters, and as everybody knows, past Windows XP, you can't create a path more than 255 characters. Well, what was happening is, as we were trying to sync, which again was a whole nother debacle, trying to figure out how to install SharePoint, and it gave me OneDrive. I was like, wait a minute, I don't want OneDrive, I want SharePoint. Well, okay, I want SharePoint, not OneDrive. It was a whole confusion. So once we got through that, and we tried to do that sync, and that's kind of why I actually reached out to you saying, hey, have you ever heard of this or any way around it? Because I mean, we did anywhere from auto truncation to see how we can do that, and if we were to apply that, files that were less than the characters we were trying to cut off would end up being like .pdf, .docx, and so forth. So it ended up just becoming a whole bigger pain than what we really needed it to. And we moved on to, like I mentioned, I know you mentioned Dropbox. We moved on to FileLocker, which is one of the products for Magnus Box allows us, which is what we use for our backup solution, similar to SOS.
Can they also use it for file sharing then? Because I looked on the website you gave me and I just felt, right now, I'm going to review it over holiday when I have more time, but I was kind of like, I didn't understand the file sharing part of it.
I gotcha. Well, the file sharing is separate. So Magnus Box is more of like SOS backup, and FileLocker
Okay.
would be more of like the Dropbox portion of it. So on his server,
Okay.
we set up the Magnus box through that way, but he also signed up for FileLocker, and FileLocker is actually what we use for the file sync as well to go through all the
Okay.
machines to get that going.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really just unfortunate, and I found a thread on LinkedIn about that they said public SharePoint is going away. Like, who gives a shit? Nobody in a small world uses it.
Right.
You know who uses it is huge corporations with intranets, and what is it called, an extranet? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I believe it's extranet, something like that. I know what you mean, though.
Yeah, it's not like their website, but it's for other companies to log in to get the data.
Yeah.
Because, in a corporate world, like someone that works at Honeywell and then someone works at IBM, they need to share a file through the extranet or the portal.
Right.
Then they have the internal one. But I'm like, a small company of 10 people, they're not going to set up the public website.
Right.
So I'm like, goody, go get rid of more of your clutter, because that's what it is. It's Microsoft clutter. Okay, so then back to the SharePoint OneDrive issue is I just stripped my entire website. I think I'm about done of all SharePoint consulting.
Okay.
I actually made the decision I will no longer support it in 2015, except for clients I've already helped. And most of them, now here's the thing I'm going to say I love about it is the browser base works fine.
Right.
If you upload your files to the browser and you want to deal with that, which nobody does. Nobody wants the browser. They don't want to check out a data. They don't want to, if you're in a corporate environment, those people are used to that. Our people are used to map drives, or Dropbox or something that's where they can attach an email in Outlook.
Right. Exactly.
The browser-based, you can't. You can't just go in Outlook and go to the browser-based, but I don't know. I think that with so many different types of computers, different versions of Office, that's a huge one. Office 2013 kind of lets you run a SharePoint save as if you have it configured, but then you get 5 options. Do you notice that, Paco?
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. In Microsoft Word, you go to save, you've got 5 options now, and OneDrive is always there, like the nasty bug.
Yep. Exactly. Sure is.
It's just like there it is.
Here's all this plus OneDrive. It's like, man, you're really pushing that, because you know what it is because it's just they want to get that product out there as best they can. I mean, they rebranded it how many times now, and Google is having a home run with their Google Drive, and the enhancement that they have done incorporating them with Google Apps.
Yeah.
So they're just trying to
compete.
Yeah, exactly.
And I really think that because it was SkyDrive, right?
Right, exactly.
And then it was something else, then OneDrive. It had a little half-sister in between, right?
Right. It was. That's what I was saying. Yeah, it was like SkyDrive. I forgot what it was. It was like Sky Plus or Sky, whatever it was.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it went to OneDrive. So everybody who was trying to go to OneDrive, they're like, well, I've never heard of that. Okay, well, what are you syncing your stuff with? Oh, SkyDrive. It's the same thing. They just.
Yeah. Well, that's even a worse nightmare if you go to install OneDrive and somebody already has SkyDrive on there. You have to target the whole thing.
Or if they have the business OneDrive, I think you mentioned this on another show. It's like having, I have OneDrive. Okay, perfect, and it's the personal one, not the business one, and forget it. It's just, I
think it's gonna get worse after holiday because people are buying all these tablets with OneDrive terabyte, and they get the Office for $149, and I'm like, I think Microsoft is also trying to compete with that OneDrive with iCloud. That's the other.
Yeah, that's true.
Because iCloud, Google Drive, and OneDrive, that's all like one big muck of file sharing. And iCloud, I get it because I do support for iPhones, So to me, that's not a big deal. Now, it's not the easiest to fix, but this OneDrive, I think I'm going to take that off my list too. SharePoint, OneDrive.
Gotcha.
Well, I hate OneDrive more than SharePoint almost because it hijacks SharePoint and it's very messy. I think whoever does eventually get OneDrive is going to charge like $400 an hour. The one person that dedicates their life to it can charge a lot of money.
Yeah, because it's not going to be a lot. Everybody else is going to say, just move on. We're going to give you another solution to that.
Well, really, Paco, techs like us don't have time for the BS of trying to learn all this crap on the customer's dollar. When I'd say, okay, well, let's set you up with a good file sharing product. Well, Dropbox has worked for me for 5 years.
Right.
And you only have 3 people on your team. So you have a choice. You can go to team environment, which is $800, I think, something like that, right? Which is a lot of money.
Okay.
Well, I mean, Dropbox is expensive in the team environment, but there's other people that don't have employees. They've just got contractors, so anybody can have their own account.
Okay.
Yeah, it's maybe another conversation, but I'm moving to Dropbox.
Okay.
For sales, I think, yeah.
Gotcha.
And
yeah,
maybe your guy.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I know, because my the white label service that I have, he was we were able to get onto their program of reselling Dropbox Business. But what happened?
Oh, really?
Yeah, but what happened was the reason why we ended up switching to FileLocker and MagnusBox was, although they say unlimited upload, it wasn't it wasn't unlimited. It was like I forgot what was like the cutoff of your daily upload consumption that you can throw up onto Dropbox. So like,
really?
Yeah. So if you had like a terabyte worth of space and you want to throw up, I don't know, 30 gigs or something, I think they limit you at like 2, or I forgot what the number was, but basically they limit you at whatever gigabytes for that day, and then you had to resume the next day. Whereas FileLocker and MagnusBox, it's unlimited. I can throw whatever I want up and go from there. I think like they were mentioning when they did some tests on FileLocker, they uploaded like 32 gigs in a day because they had a fiber connection, and there was no problem.
They were just, oh my God, 32 gigs in a day.
Right?
Nice.
That's a lot of data. But yeah.
Dang.
So, yeah.
That's cool. Well, you know, I think that for me, I need to do what feels comfortable as a tech. I love learning, but I just am frustrated. And so the Office 365 show, you know, might have a little bit of SharePoint, OneDrive, but I mean, we work in it all day. It's just a headache. And now Link, the other little happy product there, none of my clients want to use it.
Yeah, that's a hard one to sell because I've used it at my last place of employment where I was at before I started the whole dealy here, and they implemented it because we had another, I forgot what was the other internal internet, and it just did not catch on because we already had, like, we used I think we were using G Talk or whatever it was before Hangouts was called.
Yep, G Talk. That was fun. And
you know, Yahoo Messenger. You know, we already had those in place. So to introduce a new one, you know, and like you mentioned, you got people that are, you know, 3-4 people that are there. So if they don't want to get up, they already have their own instant messengers of who they're going to use. Why introduce a whole nother one? Other than, hey, you're forced, you need to use this now, and it's another one where if the boss doesn't see it, a value to it, why even put it in? It's just going to be another hassle.
Well, to me, it's a corporate win, because if you have a corporate enterprise, you know, server, great, it's the family chat, you know, but because you can also do a ton with it, you know. But my kind of clients, when I explain it to them, they go, "Yeah, we don't need it." I'm like, "No kidding. They text each other. It's faster." Honestly, you know, or they do something else, but. So I think that the bulk of my work next year is going to be focused on my Outlook and just doing the consulting and the migrations. And I think I'm going to try to build a little team of techs that are all into it so we can, you know, Paco, the book is the Exchange Migration book. It's step-by-step to do it manually. There's a lot of other tools that techs can use, like Migration Wiz and a whole bunch of other ones. But to me, I've just never felt comfortable moving to the point where I can't feel comfortable switching those MX records till I know I backed up their stuff.
Right.
I for some reason in my heart, because I'm not already managing their stuff. I think that's the problem, is these MSP guys are already managing their stuff. Right. Their current server, their current this and that, and I'm not MSP, I'm break fix. So to me, I'm like, I just rather do it by hand. And you build a team of techs that can move into a job. You can do these, you know, smaller companies of 20 and 30 that don't have a server and don't have an MSP, which there's the one I'm interviewing with tomorrow is that kind of guy.
Okay.
they don't have managed, services or they don't have someone managing all their stuff. So I'm like, it'd be nice to have a team of people that knows how to do it, and then we can all work together and get it done quick and do well. How many, what's your company size limit you guys do right now?
Right now, we're, at least for comfortability level, we've done probably anywhere from 5 to 7. It's been the most that we've done so far. We're looking at a fact of probably going to 10, 15 maybe would be a good size right now until we figure out because a part of it too is just because now we're just kind of getting in the neck of the woods and really getting into it, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, and being able to brand it. And that's kind of what our aim is for 2015 is being able to brand everything, including our hosted exchange migration work and Office 365 work, etc., on a visible and kind of like a nice little neat little package for them to say, hey, this is what ProdigyTeks offers, and this has this, something that will speak to them as to what it is and would be a really big sell for us. And that's what we're working through with our marketing agency and so forth, is starting to brand all of our services in a way that is readable to not only businesses but residentials as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, sometimes it's good to have two different packages that are very similar, because a lot of my residential clients are my business clients too. So they see the value of, okay, let's spend a few more bucks for the business side and have you guys still because they like our services,
Right.
Yeah, well, let's see. Okay, so when did you start doing that? I was going to get back to how many people. So you guys have moved up from 5 to 7. You're looking at going to 15.
Yeah.
When I took on my first one that was 12, well, I told listeners before, my first job I did 22 mailboxes, but I had a team of people I trained. My own staff, I trained them to do the backup and the importing. So it only took, a short amount of time, but I did 12 by myself in a morning once. Now, if you're going to do that many, you better have your shit together.
Yep.
Yes,
exactly.
you have to. And I say that loosely but tightly because I basically got lucky. The girl who was like the IT helper there, her and I had a meeting beforehand, and I said, look, you go to this person at this time. We had it down to a schedule.
Okay.
And so then, because it's with 12 people, you can't waste everybody's work time. So basically, we had everything backed up the day before. We got done in like an hour. Nice. Because I just would say, here's the remote code for this person, here's the remote code for that, and we just poof, 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 and I backed everything up. And then the next morning, we did the same thing but backwards. We just hit everybody. And I can tell you this, I've done tons of these, and I still get stressed out when I have to update the MX records. I still get that panic.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's that feeling of, man, if I do this, they are going to love it, or this is going to really be very, very bad. So, yeah, I know exactly. I know the exact feeling you're talking about of when you switch that MX record.
Well, the thing that I'll warn everybody about is that it's so rare that email doesn't, once you update it, it delivers somewhere.
Right.
To the old or to the new. So the worry about the email is going to go into the sky and never get landed somewhere doesn't really happen.
Right.
But my panic always was, what's going to happen if this doesn't work? And sometimes there's a delay. If you're working with a company that has slow DNS updating, then you are waiting, and you have to tell the client prior to the project, just let you know this could take up to 2 hours, so your mail will still deliver to the old mailbox. I'm going to babysit it and watch it. Right. That's why I go off and do other stuff, and then when I see it start to hit, I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
It worked.
Don't have to worry about that one now. Another one in the books.
No. Well, some of these companies, though, it's almost instant the minute I do the MX record update. Like some of the big ones. Yeah, instant. And I'm like, sweet, now I can get going. I hate the waiting. I'd rather just get it done, and get mail importing. And then get going with the rest of the project, yeah. All right, man. You got anything else you want to chat about? What's up for 2015? You said you're going to focus on a lot more Office, right?
Yeah, so we got a lot more Office 365 stuff. We got our new office opening up in the next couple of weeks. Where that one we're in an area that is very business driven, so it was a strategic grab as far as the space when it became
Yeah.
available over there. So we're going to hit the Office 365 portion hard, especially
Nice.
in the building. Because see, I don't do storefronts. I do offices because I want to kind of control the traffic coming in. And a lot of the liabilities and so forth of having a storefront and stuff. It's just something that just never sat with me. But
Yeah.
having an office, I have somebody there in case they do want to come in and drop something off. But we can operate in a way of incoming on-site scheduling, remote support, and specifically the Office 365 stuff. All that stuff, being able to do it after and in the nighttime after they're out of their business works out best for us, and that's what we're going to start
Paco,
training.
what you guys did with that office idea, you told me once before,
Yep.
your company basically got in with a company that does executive office suites, and there's like a ton in Chicago, and you're starting to rent these little offices in there, which
Yep.
is a gold mine, because that's all your clients that are sitting there right next to you, or in your virtual office too, if you have that.
Yep.
And they usually let you do in-house marketing, and you become their IT person too.
Yep.
I've seen that happen up at the company in Minneapolis. That is genius. And
Yep.
that's so much better than a storefront, because you're actually doing, you know, there's so many different ways to support people. You're just
Right.
doing it with what works with you and your company,
Yep.
which I love.
Yep, and exactly like you mentioned, right now, as because anybody doesn't know, I do still have a full-time job. So the business, I do have members and teammates that are working during the hours that I am out of pocket for the prime time of 8 to 5 o'clock. Now, what these offices are available that Lisa's mentioning is these are virtual offices. So it allows you to have staff ready to go to be greeted, whether to take in packages, mail, assume their address, greet your customers, use their meeting rooms, have your own day office, etc. And it allows you to establish a business in a professional presence, even if you're a home business. And it's really helped out
Yeah.
with us because it helped us grow our network, and Regis is the network we tend to use that have really helped us out in the last 2 years. And once we've gotten to the point where hopefully in the end of this coming year, we'll be able to expand and start utilizing the full
Mm-hmm.
offices or being able to get space in these areas to help expand. And it's all about working in your means and your resources and being able to gradually scale up to where you want it to be. Some people are
Yeah.
comfortable with having their home businesses. Some people want to have that kind of that professional look, and you should take a look at virtual offices and see if that's a good fit for you.
Oh,
Regis
it's a gold mine.
yep, and
And
exactly
the
like you
people that are
mentioned.
in large cities, they have these. Like Minneapolis has 2 or 3 of them I know about
Okay.
that have offices in the buildings. Now there's a bunch of the shared working spaces, like community big buildings with a bunch of desks and stuff, and
Right.
that might be another option as well. That does not work for me because I'm on my phone
Exactly.
and I'm loud, and I can't have my privacy of my clients, compromised by other people listening like that. So, but that was the first time I heard you say that. I was like, oh, that's just so cool, because it's clients are right there.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep. And when
That's
we
super
opened up,
cool.
and when we opened up ours, we wanted to make sure we hit hard and on the ground
Yeah.
running, and we opened it right in the heart of downtown just to make sure
Wow.
to open up that just to get that brand awareness. But like you said, 2015 is just going to be more brand awareness, getting our name out there, especially in Chicago
Mhm.
and Illinois, and just really tightening up our processes and getting into the point where we have we have great products to offer, and what we can get
Gotcha.
into Illinois. Yep.
Yeah, one of my guests coming up is from Illinois, or from Chicago too. So
Okay.
I always try to say no one competes. Everybody should be partners or collaborative friends or whatever
Right.
in our world. I mean, Chicago's a huge town.
Yeah, it's a huge city, but like you mentioned, competing, and it's one of those where, from me being outside of the community, 6 months ago, it was always more of I felt like a competitive or a competition view. But the moment I
Yeah.
joined the community, I realized how well technicians can work with each other, even though they're nearby each other. And it's kind of really changed our mindset. And the moment we did change that mindset, we did see a lot of good growth and a lot of good benefits and value brought.
Oh, wow. See, I never got that, Paco, when I was in Minneapolis. Well, I did it after a long time. When I first came out of the gate, people didn't see me as a real business. They were like, girl, call that girl, blah, blah, blah. But after a few years, I started getting some respect, and then we became friendly partners. I can't tell you how many times we've tried the let's refer each other work, and it really never works out. One person always refers more than the other, and I always kind of felt like the big server guys would want all these referrals, but they'd give me the home residential, but I couldn't refer them any other stuff because my marketing wasn't geared towards them.
Right.
I couldn't give them, referrals. They always knew that, but I always kind of felt that was the short end of the stick for those guys. But
I got you.
Well, anyway, let's wrap things up. You got any final words for the listeners?
No, other than it's just, if it is still a worry subject, if you don't know if you can really jump into Offer 365, obviously you're listening to the shows to kind of get a better understanding of it. I definitely suggest Lisa's book. Again, she mentioned she has a special on it, so, it probably would be the great time to get it now. You're probably going to be out of town, probably going to find some downtime.
Yeah, it's an easy read.
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to be a great time for you to kind of just figure out what you really want to do for 2015, and if this is a subject you want to get into or refine, it would be a great resource for you to add on to. But we've definitely benefited from having this resource to us.
Yeah, that was, like I said, I didn't know Paco had bought all the books and everything prior to me asking, so I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. But you know what? But the thing is when we talk about this stuff on the shows, and if you've bought the books, you'll understand what we're talking about, and maybe get to the point where you dive in and you've got some, some guides to help you. And if you send me an email, usually I'm nice enough and will help with the quick questions. That's what I do.
Yeah, she does.
All right. Well, I think I'm just going to close out by saying that I am still in Florida, and where I'll be next show, but hopefully we're going to have another one coming up. I hate teasing people, but I'm kind of on track now. Paco's my first guest since my last show. It's been a while, but we had some tech snags here and there, and everything's I had tech snags myself, too, prior to that. So, but I am good to go. So thank you, Paco, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, listeners, for listening, and we'll see you soon. Okay, Mitch, I think that's the cutoff.
I got it.
Cool.
How's the video?
Yeah, I think that was a good show.
Yeah, I think it was good. It was good.
Yeah, it was just kind of like last time, but we just rearranged the stories a little.